Is anyone surprised? I'm certainly not. Well, one of the main reasons many said that Labour are not in fact Tory-like is their New Deal for Workers, which was to be in place in the first 100 days of a Labour government. Well, that has now turned into day never, as Labour have massively watered down the package and gone as far as to scrap some key policies. So Keir Starmer's Labour Party is set to unveil a weakened package of workers' rights in the coming weeks in its latest softening of radical policies ahead of the upcoming general election. The package, first outlined in 2021, has been billed by Starmer as the biggest increase in workers' rights for decades. But behind the scenes, shadow ministers have been discussing how to tone down some of the pledges to ease employer misgivings as the party tries to boost its pro-business credentials. The whole tone of everything they have been saying on workers' rights has been attempting to be constructive compared to a couple of months ago, said one lobbyist. One business leader said that after several meetings with the party, they were now pretty relaxed about its plans. I think it's pretty clear how Labour arrived at the decision to water down their workers' rights package, and that's because big business asked them to. Now, Labour are so cheap. Over the last 4 years, you would have seen the party come up with a fair policy. And then there's backroom discussions by lobbyists, their donors, people from the CBI. Then the policy changes because they're just so easily bought. I mean, Richard Reeves has always maintained the idea that Labour are pro-worker and pro-business. Now, obviously, that's impossible. Two sides have contradicting material needs. But I get that as a slogan from a social democratic party that's trying to win an election in, let's be honest, still very much Thatcher's Britain. But I'd love to know her answer if asked. Well, you say Labour are both pro-worker and pro-business, but this latest development is supporting business over workers. So how do workers gain if you water down their rights? Obviously, she can't answer that. But the point is, when it comes to Labour, whenever there is tension between business and workers, they always side with business. The party of Labour, which is supposed to be in government to improve workers' rights, stands in opposition to them. That is the Blairite agenda. That is the Reeves-Starmer agenda. Now, when the initial package was announced back in 2021 with a list of fairly decent policies, I mean, they weren't exactly radical or transformational. That was the starting point, not the end point. But Peter Mandelson attacked it by saying, oh, it's rushed. You know, they should have consulted with business. But what that means is when you consult with business, it only means it's going to be watered down, obviously. So it was too pro-worker for him. And Mandelson, who's very much in the ear of Keir Starmer, he is a major player in the Labour Party. Now, two of the main policies which have been scrapped are the right to switch off and 0 hours contracts. Right to switch off means employers can't make you work outside of your hours. You don't have to respond to anything related to work when you're at home. That is a very good policy because many are pressured into doing so. Now, believe it or not, but most workers go above and beyond, not just because of self-motivation because they want to climb up the ladder, but also because it's actually become a new standard. You're expected to go above and beyond. And if you do what you're paid for, you're actually criticised, and that can actually hurt your standing in a company. Now, I don't know if you heard this. It was a really cringe social media thing. I think it was last year, which is basically called quiet quitting, which is where if you're fed up or you feel undervalued or treated poorly, just quietly quit. That means do the bare minimum. Don't extend yourself and don't go out of your way. The problem is, that is your job. That's not quietly quitting. That's what you're paid for, which proves toxic culture of being expected to do more than you're paid. One of these things is working out of hours, checking your emails, responding to them, which blurs the line between work and your leisure time. So that was a good policy, which is now scrapped. Obviously, 0 hours, which is incredibly exploitative. That's gone too. Now, I've said this before, but when Labour say they are pro-business, they mean big business. I want to see a radical transformation in support of small businesses. Ironically, despite Corbyn being attacked as hard left, his manifestos were incredibly pro-small business. I hate how we rely on corporations, chains, and large supermarkets for pretty much everything. Now, independent businesses are usually very successful in affluent areas because they're expensive. The reason why independent businesses are so expensive is because they have to compete with larger companies, meaning small companies have to have incredibly high prices. Now, most, I would say, would probably rather a bustling high street of independent shops. They're local, have a better sense of community about them. but it's not always possible to support them. That, to me, is what a pro-business party should look like, not serving the donor class, which is what Labour does. Now, usually parties disappoint and water down their promises when they're in government, but I guess Labour has taken the initiative to be disappointing before they get there, which means we have no idea what they stand for. Today, they watered down a pretty moderate workers' package, but how do we know when they win, because they are going to win, if they're going to water it down again? Which, by the way, in my opinion, they absolutely will. They're a zombie government before they've even won, and Starmer is most likely to be the least popular prime minister for a new government. They will change nothing. Now, multiple unions have come out and attacked Labour for this, including Sharon Graham from Unite, and I just think, what's the point? This is a cycle which has been going on for years. Labour announce how right-wing they are. Unions get annoyed. Then Labour teases with fine policies and unions will be pleased. Then it's dropped and then unions say, oh, that's so disappointing. Unions have been so weak with the Labour Party. Starmer doesn't value any leverage from them. He has enough money from the donor class, from former Tory billionaire backers, to care about union money, although he'll absolutely take union money whilst doing nothing for them and workers. Their wallets are well and truly being inspected. He wants them to all leave, which, in my opinion, they should. They would have far more utility backing other parties. Just imagine if Unison and Unite, the two biggest unions, threw their weight, resources, and money behind the Greens. Who will actually listen to them? My word, that would be transformational for them. It's time to finish with Labour. Don't vote for them. Don't support them. Don't give them anything, because they are the party of capital. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and drop a comment. It's good for the algorithm and I'm interested in what you have to say. If you're not already subscribed, please do, and hit the notification bell. You can also support this channel by becoming a member for 99p per month. And if you're feeling a little more generous, then you can support us on Patreon for £3 or £5 per month. This channel for a while has been uploading every single day, and it's quite a lot of work that is still voluntary and scheduled around my paid work. But I have so much ambition, expect in the future to see more variety in content, such as interviews and Vox Pops. But I want this to be a fully fledged media organisation where not only is this my full-time job, but to have multiple people working for Turn Left. I like to see a live show in the future, more content that delves into culture, history, and much more. But that can only be done if there's money. So please, if you can, support us in any way that's in your capacity. And thank you to existing members, subscribers, and patrons. See you next time.